So I've just completed week 13 of the Royal Parks half marathon training. I can't quite believe the weeks are just whizzing by now. I've just got 2 weeks to go. So I'm into the final 2 weeks of my training, which means I'm having to bring down the miles a little bit and focus more on my mental state about how I feel about it. If I'm honest, I'm really nervous. It doesn't affect me like majority day-to-day times, but at night time it clearly is having some kind of impact because my sleeping's a bit disturbed. So yeah, I've tried to start putting my phone down a bit earlier. I'm still not great at it, and picking up a book instead helps me switch off, and then I can fall straight to sleep. Yeah, so this week's training, I feel like everything is finally starting to fall into place. All the puzzles pieces are finally fitting together. My leg pain that I was suffering with seems to be sorted out. My nutrition seems to be sorted out. I feel like I'm comfortable and confident when I'm doing my long run. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to race day just getting here now. In some ways 2 weeks is going to be a long old time, but there we go. On Tuesday I ran with the Loves Farm runners again, and we did some speed work, which was great fun. Finally been able to do some speed work because I don't feel injured anymore. So yeah, I've finally been able to get a bit of that in, but that's going to stop now. It's just easy runs from now on. Don't want any injuries. Thursday I did just an easy 4.5 mile run. Not really much to say about that one. I wasn't really feeling that run, if I'm honest, but I got round. And then on Saturday I was supposed to do the park run, but Ellie decided she didn't want to do it, so I thought Sunday's going to be really hard to get my long run in. I know I'm going to end up not doing it, so I just went and got it done on Saturday. And then on Sunday I did a fun run with the girls. Oh, they absolutely loved it. It was so good. Only problem I had with the route was there was a point where everybody was having to queue to get up the hill, so there was no chance in hell the girls had of actually being able to continuously run the whole thing without without stopping. It was up a hill, so I guess that worked in their favour because it meant they didn't get too puffed out, and on the way back down they were full of energy. They did brilliantly. I was really pleased with them, and yeah, getting that medal was the icing on the cake really, because that was the whole reason I really wanted them to do it, was to like do a run and actually see that at the end they could be rewarded with a medal. I've been to a fair few races to get the gist of what happens, so I thought it'd be really handy for people that are new to running and it's like going to be running their first half, 10k, whatever you're going to be doing. Every single one I've been to has been completely different. So my first tip was obviously fueling correctly. I have written a whole blog on fueling correctly on carbohydrates. I suggest you go and have a look at that as well, and I'll post that link below. I won't go into full details about that because it's just quite lengthy, and this vlog will end up going on forever. But basically for me, I've worked out my nutrition to be comfortable at having a bowl of porridge before I set off with a banana and some peanut butter on, like 2 hours before I run, and then in the hour before I drink half this Tailwind in a pint of water, and I sip that over like the hour. I don't gulp it all in one go, and then I take the other half in my water bottle, which I carry. Everyone's different with nutrition, and you've got your pre-fueling for carbohydrates, your during your race, and then afterwards. It is different for everyone, so I really do suggest you look at the blog that I've written. But not only that, the leaner you are, the more you can store pre a race. That's why you see like these athletes not needing to have all these extra things that we take on board, and that's because pre their race they can store a lot more glycogen than just like say me, who's not lean really at all. Well, I have got muscle, but I've also got a lot of fat alongside that. So yeah, trying to find your balance is the key really. It should help explain, at least give you a starting point of what to work with when you're trying to fuel correctly. A lot of people say, eat loads of carbohydrates the night before, but you're not necessarily going to be able to store all that. Hydration, obviously drinking plenty the day before is a massive, massive help, especially if you're one of these people that wants to go and try and do your run without water. You'll be able to be fully hydrated if you're you know, if you go prepared. So have a good drink in the morning before you leave for your race, and obviously the day before. And throughout a race, obviously there's going to be pit stops. They're usually about 3 miles apart. Every race I've been to, they've been completely different. Some have had water in bottles, some have had it in cups. Have you ever tried to drink out of a cup? It's hard enough drinking out of a water bottle that doesn't have, you know, like a sports bottle top. It's really hard to run whilst drinking anyway, so it's something you need to practice. But yeah, cups. I hate cups. Like the Royal Parks, I know they have Lucozade Sport at a few of their pit stops. But you need to make sure, and this ties in with your nutrition as well, that you practice it during your training. Don't leave it till the last day. Do not practice anything on race day, because it could all go horribly wrong and you could end up with the worst tummy pains or needing to go to the toilet. Like, for instance, I cannot drink tea before I go do a race, because although caffeine's meant to be able to like boost your energy a little bit, for me I just end up needing to go to the toilet, and it's just not worth it. I don't want to be doing any toilet stops if I really don't need to. So yeah, that's it for hydration. And then obviously hydrating really well after your race as well, because a lot of people become dehydrated, where you think you just, you know, you get to the end of your race and you're done, you kind of switch off, but you really need to rehydrate. Your body would have used a lot of water to fuel that run. And if you've been taking gels throughout as well, they can be quite dehydrating. And I found that this tailwind can be quite dehydrating, so I do drink quite a lot after a race, fully rehydrate. And of course the weather can affect it. If it's such a hot day, you know, your likelihood is you're not taking enough on board to compensate what you probably would have sweated out. So fully hydrate afterwards as well. What to wear. Always test what you're going to wear before you get to your race. Do not leave it till the last day. I've had so many wardrobe malfunctions, from knickers to shorts to chafing, you know, anything you can think of, I've had it. I've finally found the outfit that works for me, and for me, no matter what the weather, it's a pair of shorts with my compression calf sleeves and a running top. I prefer one of my race tops that I run in quite a lot. You'll see from a lot of my pictures. It was one I got, race top I got from the Milton Keynes half marathon that I did with a cow on the front. I do have two, so I'm not always wearing the same one, but that is my favourite t-shirt. I've tried to practice running in the Royal Parks t-shirt that they've sent out, but that's a little bit snug, so I'm not convinced that's going to be the one. Still waiting on my charity vest to arrive. Fingers crossed, they said it will arrive this week, so I hope I get to test it, because that's what I'd ideally like to run in. But I still need to test out whether it's going to rub anywhere and if it's going to be comfortable, snug and fit nicely, because there's nothing worse than wearing something that's just not comfortable and too tight. My next top tip is to put Vaseline on your feet. It stops the rubbing and prevents, hopefully, any blisters occurring. Also, making sure you're wearing the right socks. If you've got a pair of socks that you know are comfortable and are not going to give you blisters, stick with those socks. I've also got this chafing balm which I've bought, which I use just between my thighs. So yeah, I've been using that. It doesn't completely stop it, but if I'm wearing the correct shorts or, you know, my running leggings, then I don't tend to get chafing anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, just it stops it to a point, so it's worth it. My essential items I always take in a bag, or I always plan to take in my bag, but don't necessarily take my bag. So I've learned from over the years of what to take. A bin bag is a really good top tip for when you're in the colder months when you're running during race season. Is if you have a bin bag that you can just wear over the top of your clothes, then just before the race starts you can obviously throw that away. It means you haven't got to toss out any clothes. The Royal Parks have got a really good scheme where you can take an old top which you can then take off and they will donate to charity. So that's probably what I'm going to do this time, because who wants to be standing around in a bin bag if they don't need to? So yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing for this one. So in your bag for when you finish, it's good to have a cold drink. If you've got someone that's with you, then get them to go and get you a cold one. A jumper for if it's a bit chilly, because once you stop, it can get a bit cold. A change of shoes if you need it. I don't tend to usually need to change my shoes. Mine feel fairly comfortable, and actually sometimes I find like a lot of people swap to flip-flops, which I will take just in case, because obviously if I do get a blister I'd like to be able to swap. But I sometimes find putting flip-flops on are actually more uncomfortable for me than my trainers, because they are so comfortable. A snack now, because usually in every single race I've done you will get something that you can eat after, and you won't need that snack. But the one time I didn't take a snack in my bag, at the end of my 10k race, I was greeted with a lovely bag with dried spaghetti in. Now, who can do anything with dried spaghetti? We didn't even have cash on us, because we just planned to go straight away, but I was so hungry. I really could have done with something to eat. I was highly disappointed. Some races you go to and you don't need to worry about having cash on you, but that's something else that I now always take in my running bag, because you know a lot of these places are in the middle of nowhere and don't have facilities where you can go into the cafe. They're just like little pop-up stalls. So yeah, make sure you take a little bit of cash. Some deodorant and baby wipes. Nobody wants to be sitting in a car next to a sweaty Betty, so yeah, definitely take those. And obviously a change of t-shirt if you want to get, or even a change of clothes if you want to get changed. Majority of the time I just get in the car and go home, so I'm not always taking change clothes. Some safety pins for your race number. I've been to a few where they've provided the race pins, especially if you've collected the number there on the day. And then likewise the ones that get posted out to me, sometimes I've been sent race pins, which safety pins, which is great, and other times I haven't. So yeah, always have a couple of spare safety pins. A fully charged running watch or phone or whatever it is that you're using to track your run. If you're not and you're just winging it, then that's okay. That's entirely up to you. I prefer to have a watch and a hand towel, especially if it's raining. You might need to mop up some rainwater. Bringing a meeting point with the people that you are going with. My husband's useless. I'll give him a meeting point and he won't necessarily be there. That's why I can't chance not having my phone. I can't get him to stay put. He's missed my race ending. Stupidly assumed I'm going to be slower than I am, so now I have to undertell him how long I think I'll be so that he's there in time. I don't think he'll ever do it again, because it's eating him up with guilt ever since he missed my last, actually not my last one because he ran with me the last time, but the one before that he missed me finishing, and yeah, he learned by that mistake. Never underestimate how quickly she may go. Then the other top tips are more about pre-getting there. So race day timings, obviously you need to make sure you know what time that race starts. Do not miss the start. Get there in plenty of time. If you need to collect your number, bear in mind there is going to be queues and queues and queues of people. They do tend to be quite quick, but just don't underestimate how long it can take. And you also need to factor in that you need enough time to go to the toilet, that the roads may be closed, that you may not have anywhere to park that's close by and you've got to walk to, you know, factor all of that into your race day timings. Make sure you're fully prepared for your travel arrangements, how you're going to get there. And the only other thing is if you're doing this for the first time, you probably don't have a time frame that you want to finish your race in, and that's fine. It's your first one, make the most of that. But from a lot of us, if it's not our first time, even if I say I don't want a PB, I'd like to have a PB, and I certainly will be trying for a PB, and I've picked up little techniques over the time to help me get that. Try and follow a pacer when you're doing your runs. One of my best runs was from following a pacer. That's what they're there for. Sometimes at busier runs it's hard to find them and you can't always use them, but if you can, make the most of them, but just factor in what time they cross the line to what time you cross the line. I followed a pacer once, and then on that last mile, I managed to get enough energy just to go past them and to get my sub 2 hours, and that was how I got that. Honestly, don't think I would have got it any other way, especially as my training for that one had been quite appalling. So yeah, I plan to try and do the same for this event, but I'm anticipating that because it's on such a large scale, I might not even see the pacer. So I'm going to go prepared with some time scales I want to reach certain checkpoints at. So like 1 to 3 miles, I want to reach there in X amount of minutes, and so on. So that when I get to each of these checkpoints, I can see if I'm on track to get in a PB. I've overestimated so that I get in a lot less time than what I actually would be perfectly happy with, and that's just so that I've got 10 minutes to play with, really. So yeah, I'm hoping that little technique will work. Try and see if you can figure out what the route is that you're going to be running before you get there, you know, the terrain, if it's going to be hilly, if it's fairly flat. All these sorts of things are really helpful to be prepared for when you get there. I've taken for granted that some of these places are going to be flat, and then I've turned up and I'm like, wow, that was not flat at all, and it took me so much by surprise. It's affected my run then. But if I go there prepared, knowing that there's going to be a few hills, and through my training I'll practice hills. Hills are pretty good to practice anyway because it helps with your speed. Trying to keep your nerve beforehand. The last race I did, I was so nervous, I was actually shaking, and I seem to progressively get worse, but I don't know if that's because I keep putting more pressure on myself to try and get a quicker speed. And last time I did my half marathon, I ran with my husband for the first time, and that was all a bit nerve-wracking. So yeah, like little things, techniques, any technique you can pick up to help keep you calm, get practicing. And other than that, enjoy it and breathe in the spectators' enthusiasm and the cheers, because they are going to be the ones that get you round. That adrenaline pumping will get you round. A training run is very different to a race. Just don't mess it up, and don't put so much pressure on yourself, and go out there and enjoy it. And whatever the outcome, I promise you will book another race. So until next week, bye.